Good evening, everyone. Did you know that The Simpsons was still on air? Well, The Simpsons is still on air, apparently, because this morning I logged onto Twitter and I saw quite the shitstorm about the show. It all started a few months ago, that was in the end of 2017, sorry. In November of 2017, a movie was released. It was called The Problem with Apu, and it was made by an Indian filmmaker. I hope I don't butcher his name. His name was Hari Kontabolu. Kontabolu. That is it properly. So when this guy was growing up, the character of Apu on the show The Simpsons was his only representation on television. It probably still is to a lot of people. I really couldn't name you a lot of Indian people on non-Indian television, and I don't watch any Indian television, so I don't know. The only characters that come to mind on television that are Indian right now are Apu from The Simpsons and his family, and Raj from The Big Bang Theory. So that's not a lot, and those are both characters of Indian people. And in the case of Apu from The Simpsons, he's very much a stereotype, and he's voiced by a white guy, Hank Azaria, who also voices a lot of other Simpsons characters, such as the comic book guy, Cletus, the professor, the jailbird, Milhouse's father, the sea captain, and Disco Stew. So, somebody made a movie about representation and what's wrong with the representation on The Simpsons sometimes. And I haven't seen that movie. I will someday when I get around to it, but I'm not critiquing the movie. I have no idea how good or bad it is. I've heard a lot of good things about it, that is why I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not gonna talk about it now. Sorry, I just have an itch. So, The Simpsons, the people who made The Simpsons, decided to address the criticism by having Lisa Simpson, who is supposed to be this voice of reason character, say something that started decades ago and was applauded and inoffensive is now politically incorrect. What can you do? And then they slide over to this picture of Apu, which is on her nightstand, which is kind of creepy that she has like a picture of a guy who is in his late 30s, I think, that she barely knows on her nightstand. She's like this 8-year-old girl. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I think that this is the worst thing that The Simpsons could have done. They could have either did something about the character of Apu or ignored it. But to say, listen, this is a stupid thing you are saying, what can we do? It's, what the fuck are you trying to say? The Simpsons started ages ago when that wasn't considered politically incorrect by a lot of people. And maybe it still isn't considered politically incorrect by a lot of people. That is true. But it is now, so you can change it. It's not 30 years ago. And yes, the fucking show started 30 years ago. It hasn't been a good show in like 20 years. We can all agree that post season 8 or 9, there's not a lot of good in that show. I haven't seen it in ages. I used to watch reruns, and I love like seasons 3 to 7. That's my jam. And I know it's problematic, but I talk about this a lot, that even when stuff is problematic, you can still enjoy it for other reasons and just either ignore the problematic stuff or even engage with the problematic stuff. And I think this Apu situation, that is where you could engage with it being problematic and say, well, the show is funny, but maybe this one character, he is positive, but there's something wrong with the representation, maybe. You could also say that about other characters. Like some people think that the closeted gay person, what's his first name? His last name is Smithers, isn't handled well. I personally don't think so, but a lot of people do. And I had a discussion about that character, and it was great. And that is what media can be about, like a jumping off point to discuss things. That is what I do with many in the podcasts. You should really check them out. I think they're good. Well, I'm 50% of the people who make them, but I still think that they're good. But yeah, Lisa Simpson, who is supposed to be the voice of reason in this crazy world of the show, said a really stupid thing while basically winking to the audience. Like, what the fuck? What are they trying to do? Are they just trying to dig their hole deeper? I fear that, like, in the future, The Simpsons isn't going to be remembered as a great show because the first few seasons are great, but everything from then on was just terrible. And I mean, you can see that The Simpsons have been on for too long in a few things. Like there are episodes that take place in the future, and the future of one episode is 2010, which is now almost 10 years ago. And there was the future of The Simpsons once. And in that episode, we are supposed to have had, well, America is supposed to have had a President Donald Trump. That was a joke when they made that episode. Now it's reality. Like, even your jokes have caught up with you. Can't you see that you have to cancel this fucking show at some point? I love the ever-loving shit out of seasons 3 to 7, basically, as I said. But please, come on. It's not worth it. Just, I have to compare it to a newspaper comic, which I really love, which is Calvin and Hobbes. After 10 years, Bill Watterson called it quits. He made 10 years worth of great strips every day. And then he said, well, I'm not going to do anything more. And he also didn't do any merchandising. Like, there's only the comic strips. There's no show, no movie, no T-shirts. Well, there are 2 T-shirts which were sold at a museum for like a week. But there's not a lot of merchandising. It's just the comics. And when he retired them, he really retired them. And if something like that was done to The Simpsons, it would be remembered as a great show. Now, before I stop talking, I want to show you a few responses to what The Simpsons have done. Wait a second, I will figure this out. There we are. I'm gonna. All right. To understand the first thing, there's a Simpsons quote by the leader of the school, the headmaster, which is, "Am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong." And then somebody did, and I'm gonna do this the other way around. Someone did this today. Am I so out of touch? No, it's the Indians who are wrong. And this is, of course, from the episode and from the scene from last week, which the discussion is all about. There we are again. Another response I saw, but it's not really a response. I'm going to read you something that has been written about in front of the old Looney Tunes cartoons, which is, "The cartoons you are about to see are products of their time. They may depict some of the ethnic and racial prejudice, you know what I'm trying to say, right? That were commonplace in American society. These depictions were wrong then and are wrong today. While the following does not represent the Warner Bros. View of today's society, these cartoons are being presented as they were originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices. I hope I did say that word this time. I should really do something about the light, shouldn't I? Never existed. And The Simpsons should do the same when they air older episodes. And with new episodes and going forward, I don't know what they should do. They should cancel this show, but if they want to keep it on, I really don't know what they should do. Like, Marge doesn't work a job, and Homer, I don't know how well off he is, and they live in this big ass house. It wouldn't be possible today. Like, it was possible in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe, but it isn't possible today. The show has aged out of reality. What the fuck are you still keeping it on for? Just cancel The Simpsons already, alright? I was a really big fan of the show once upon a time. Like, I have sculpted this amazingly huge Homer Simpson fan when I was like 12. And drawing The Simpsons is something that really got me into being creative. And for a lot of people, The Simpsons are important, but there won't be someday. Just don't piss on their legacy any longer. I know that nobody listens to me, but what can you do?